So everybody right now is talking about New Year's resolution, or a new year, no S, right? At the end, New Year resolutions. And it got me to thinking about how my life started to really change when I stopped having New Year resolutions and I focused on having a new me. And so what I really want to ask you is, which do you prefer, New Year resolutions versus new you?
I don't like New Year resolutions because, it's stats out there, over 90+% of New Year resolutions die off within the first couple of weeks. First week, really. All right, the gym is packed maybe for a month. Everybody's saying, I'm going to get that body this year. Eating habits, so all of the, I'm sure the, what you call those people that make the meal prep people is booming right now because everyone gets on meal prep. And that's it. For me, it's really about starting back 3-4 months ago and saying, what do I want to accomplish in the new year? And really set a goal and a deadline to get that done, and then start taking the steps necessary to achieve that, implementing it. And so, for me, it's implementing what I want to get done in the new year a few months ago versus waiting to January 1, getting started and being done with it January 7th.
Yeah, and I agree. I definitely think that most people don't maintain their New Year resolutions. And I think the reason they don't is because I can recall for me, it was like I had recycled goals. Like it was nothing new about it. It was just a recycled goal, a recycled dream. It was literally nothing new about it. I would take the list of items that I wasn't able to achieve from the previous year, and I would just roll it over to the next year and put the word new in front of it. So instead of just a resolution, it became a new year resolution because I didn't achieve it last year. Versus when I started focusing on becoming a better me. And what I hope all of you at home are really thinking about is, how do I jumpstart a new me, right? A better me. And everything shifted for me, and I want everything to shift for you when you start really assessing your daily habits, those things that you don't post on social media. If you want to grow as a person, your personal development, how many books a month do you read? Is it 1? Is it 4? How many books can you actually not just say you want to read, but how many books, and we know this, Ellis, can you start and actually finish? Because you and I think our first 2 years in business, we were really good with starting books. We weren't that great with finishing books. And so that's the first thing to jumpstart a new you, is examining the habits needed to become a better version of yourself, right? Your daily habits. If it's setting a daily routine, if it's personal development. I think the second thing to jumpstart a new you will be accountability. Who's actually going to hold you accountable to achieve the things that you say you want to achieve?
Most people don't like accountability though, Jasmine, right? They don't like
Hate it.
People telling them what to do, pointing out their flaws. All people want to do is hear what they're doing right.
Well, let's talk about you. How much do you like accountability?
I love accountability.
Be honest with the people.
Now, who holding me accountable?
Everyone, your coach, your wife, your pastor.
Oh, man.
So how much do you love accountability?
We don't love. Nobody loves accountability. I don't think anybody loves accountability. I think some people will say, no, I love accountability. No, you like the outcome of the accountability. And once you begin to really understand the relationship between the two, then you begin to understand the importance of the accountability.
Yeah.
And it's really easy for fellas to really go back to sports. If you played a sport, you understand, like, if you play basketball and you had to do suicides, no one likes suicides. No, I don't know one basketball player ever in my life that said they like suicides.
Yeah.
But the suicide is so necessary to be able to perform on a court.
Yeah.
And so that's the accountability part right there. It's like, you got to go through that suicide. You got to go through the tough part. You got to go through the part that you don't want to do in order to get to the part where you want to be and
Yeah.
get to what you want to achieve and perform.
And I think it's really easy to come into alignment with someone holding you accountable when two things: A, you trust that person,
That's
trust
big.
that they have your best interest at heart. You trust that you both, which is the second thing, this is whoever's holding you accountable, you are in alignment with the end result. Like, what is the end goal that we are trying to achieve, right? So if, let's say, for example, you and I this year want to lose 20 pounds. Well, if we want to lose 20 pounds and the end result is to get prepared for a vacation in Bora Bora, which is a deadline, right? So then we can hold each other accountable because we share the same end result. There's a deadline, and we both know that, hey, you know, this is a shared goal that we have. So I think accountability works when you trust the person holding you accountable, but also there's a shared goal, like there's a shared alignment, and you and I coming together.
So what does a person do if the coach that they have holding them accountable has the great outcome? They want the best for the person, but the person necessarily doesn't trust them, don't want to follow them.
So I think that in any coaching relationship, in order for it to take full effect, both parties have to be willing to be vulnerable, have to be willing to be wrong, have to be willing to admit mistakes, and have to be willing to actually make the relationship work, right? Like, you could be the best coach in the world. You could be coaching Michael Jordan, you could be coaching Tom Brady. But if Tom Brady doesn't trust you, if Michael Jordan doesn't trust you, if you haven't shown up as the coach, right, in their best interest to demonstrate, like, hey, I actually get results with players like you.
But what
Let
if
me
you
show you how.
I'm saying, what if you do get results for people?
Well, that's what I'm saying. The Tom Brady's, at some point, Tom Brady had to trust Bill Belichick. At some point, Michael Jordan had to trust Phil Jackson. Trust is paramount in any coaching relationship. And in order for you to ever trust someone, it requires vulnerability.
Do you have to like a person to trust them?
I don't think you do. And to be honest, I don't think most people like people holding them accountable. You just don't. That's why it didn't work in our relationship. In the beginning, when we first started out as business partners, I would try and hold you accountable to things. You would try and hold me accountable to things, and it just didn't work. It's not sexy, right? You really don't. You don't want the person holding you accountable to get in bed with you at night. You just don't. That's the honest truth. And what I think, but in a coaching relationship, it requires vulnerability on both parts. Vulnerability and a willingness to make it work. Does that make sense? So at some point, it doesn't matter how talented Michael Jordan was, he had to listen to the plays that Phil Jackson was giving him, right? It doesn't matter how talented Tom Brady was. Bill Belichick is coaching the team, not just Tom Brady. So there's a level of humbleness that's required on both ends, a talented player and a talented coach holding, you know, that player accountable. And then the third thing that I think we all need when it comes to jumpstarting a new you is a deadline. I think after you change your habits, you adopt, you know, better habits, more routine, systems, discipline, etc. And then you have a coach, someone that you trust, someone that has shared goals, holding you accountable. But the third thing is, when is the deadline? Now, this is when it gets tricky. And the reason I think deadlines trump a lot of people up is because most people don't have a coach to set tighter deadlines. Meaning, a lot of you think that you have until December 31st, 2024 to achieve your goals.
That's the problem right there.
What the woman in Get Out say? No. You don't have until December 31st, 2024.
You'll never achieve.
You'll never achieve it. You have to start setting quarterly goals, monthly benchmarks that lead into quarterly goals. That's what ultimately will hold you accountable to being on target to reach your year-end goal. A lot of us set goals and we start the new year off excited, invigorated with dreams and resolutions, but we never revisit that business plan. And I think ultimately that's why we see more people adopting a New Year resolution mindset and very few people adopting a new you, a new me mindset. But I guarantee you, if we were to compare the income at the end of the year, the new you would exponentially supersede the income of a new resolution person. I guarantee you.
You know, I think something that people really need is understanding that measuring the deadline is not just by the end of the quarter, it's measuring it daily, right? Those daily habits that you talked about, because every day is not going to be good. Every week is not going to be good, right? But if you're looking to improve every single day, then eventually over a period of time, right, you begin to see that marker move into the direction that you're looking to achieve that goal.
So let's talk about when it's not good, okay? Because something that always is alarming to me is that we tend to see the highest rate of divorces filed at the end of a year and at the beginning of a year. And marriages are very vulnerable right now.
Oh, yeah.
And I know you have some information about the percentages of marriages right now ending in divorce. And I'm excited to unpack that with you.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. So I'm sitting here looking up the couple of stats about the divorce is it says debt can cause conflict and friction in a relationship, right? And the report here says 54% of people believe a partner with debt is a reason to even just to consider divorce.
A partner with debt
Yes.
is a reason to consider divorce.
Yes. 4 out of every 10 divorces
Wow.
comes from financial issues.
That's so, you know what I love about that is we talked about on this show in a previous episode, the books that has changed our lives. And one of them was Secrets of a Millionaire Mind.
Right.
And when you and I talked about that book, we talked about our different money blueprints. And how when you and I first got together, we had completely different money blueprints. And it almost ended our marriage. And the reason I know it almost ended our marriage is because for women, Ellis, we like to feel protected. And a form of protection for us is financial security. When, and by the way, men, I know because I'm married to one, I have 5 brothers, I have a father, love being the provider. You guys take honor in providing for your family. And so when a couple or a family is having financial issues or financial strain or struggle, it puts a direct strain on a marriage. So when you and I first got together, we didn't have a lot of money.
Not at all.
We were, on paper, we looked like we were doing pretty good for ourselves, but we were still in our world living paycheck to paycheck.
Yep.
So can you tell me about like a difficult memory that you have of maybe a scenario with you and I dealing with money in the beginning of our marriage?
Oh, goodness. I mean, which one should we start with?
It's not that many. You are so extra.
I had a bad habit of paying mortgage on the first, right? You were a huge stickler about you got to pay the mortgage on the first, Ellis. That's when it's due. And I'm like, we get a couple of days, we'll be all right. We won't have no late fee. We'll be fine. And that was a mentality is like, obviously how you do one thing is how you do anything. And that bad habit bled into other areas because then that bled into maybe paying a car note on time, which has a different ramification than the mortgage. And so, those decisions caused us to have arguments. And then, you didn't have the money, Ellis. You told me you had the money. And so that would be problems that we used to have.
Yeah, I'll say this. What helped you and I not get a divorce due to financial, or should I say due to different money blueprints, was I had to stop being so immature and come to the realization that God gave me certain gifts, certain strengths, certain talents, certain interests that you just don't have. And saving money, paying bills, that's not your gift.
No, it's not.
You know, you could
I like to spend money.
You sure do. You unfortunately like to spend a lot of money. And I like to save money. By the way, putting the word excessive in front of anything is a bad thing. Excessive saving is just as bad as excessive spending, because people assume that debt-free is synonymous with savings, and it's not, right? There are a lot of people who don't owe anybody that don't have a savings. But anywho, back to this, you know, what really helped me, Ellis, and I hope that it can help you, whether you are the wife or the husband, or even if you're not married and you one day maybe want to be married, or you're a single parent, is I stopped being upset and angry with my husband about what he wasn't doing when it came to paying bills on time, keeping track of due dates, and I just started doing it because there are certain strengths and gifts that he has that I don't do. And so it took about 2 years. You and I were arguing back and forth. It was horrible because I just didn't understand how, as the provider, you weren't keeping track of due dates. You know, I married somebody, guys, that when we first got together, you know how Ellis would be reminded that the light bill was due? When the lights were cut off, okay? That's when he would be reminded that the light bill was due. You remember I came home and we couldn't cut our lights on?
Yeah, I do. We came back from out of town.
Yes, we were coming back in from out of town after a long day. All you want to do is take a bath and go to bed. And we walk in the house, click, no lights on.
Well, I knew the lights were off when we pulled up.
How did you know? You didn't tell me.
Of course not. I wasn't going to tell you.
Are you kidding me? What?
Tell us how you knew, Ellis.
Yes.
Oh, when I pulled up, none of the lights were on. And there was one light in particular I knew I had left on, and it was off. And I said, yeah, the light's off. I'm going to have to log on to, so as I'm pulling into the garage, I'm on my phone trying to log in to pay the bill, because I knew the lights would come on in like 20, 30 minutes once you paid it. It was on an automatic grid, you know. So you ain't have to, you know, back when we lived in the apartment, you know, you had the tag on it and someone had to come out, take the tag off and hit the switch. When you live in the house where we was at, you know, 20, 30 minutes, it would cut back on automatic, which that's what happened.
So it's ghetto, basically, is what my husband is saying. You know, we were living ghetto, and that's how we started. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I think our heat also got cut off, and you had to do the same thing.
Yeah, now that was different. The gas.
Yeah. So long story short, whoever in the relationship is better with paying bills on time,
let them do it.
Just let them
That's
operate
their
in their gift. That's their ministry. Stop arguing about it. You know, I'm a firm believer that if you think that something is a problem, it's because you're the solution. And I think that couples have to step out of these labels of roles of this is a man's role, this is a woman's role. You and I are partners. We don't do roles. This is a partnership. Mm-hmm. And there are times where you have been at home cooking for our kids while I was working because you made it home before me. There have been times where I've taken the trash out while you sit on the sofa and watch TV.
Well, that's because, you know, as women, when y'all want something done, y'all want it done right then and there. But you say, Ellis, can you take the trash out? And I say, what? What do I say?
Babe.
What do I say?
I don't know what you
No,
say.
That's not true.
Don't
lie for the people.
I don't know what you
Don't
say.
lie on TV.
I'll get to it. That's what you say. I'll
get to it, or I'll say yes.
No, you always say you'll get to it.
Well, if I'll get to it, and yes is synonymous. All right? So what does that mean? Is that a no?
Yes.
How is that
because
a no?
husbands around the world, this is a universal language. Wives, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. This is a universal language. When a woman is asking for you to do anything, she means right now. Like, hey, babe, here's the
Your
other.
urgency is not my emergency.
It better
for
be
the
if
trash.
we're living in the same house.
Not to take out no trash.
Or
man.
your laziness will be your funeral.
And to take the trash out, nobody's dying, the house isn't burning, and nobody's coming over, that I got to take the trash out right now.
You see, this is a great example of not just the difference in money blueprints, but we just grew up different. But here's what I love that we had to learn in partnership is I stopped complaining about it, and it used to irritate me. I just started taking it out. And the more you start seeing me take it out, I no longer have to ask him. Because for some reason, ladies, I know you agree, our husbands actually think that the trash can is invisible. It astonishes me that they'll walk by it, see that it's filled to capacity, but won't take the time to lift it up, take out the bag, or this is the part that used to really annoy me. Ellison, you know where I'm going. He would finally take it out after me asking for 2 days. And it would be another week before he would put another trash bag inside of the bin. So as you can tell, it was very annoying. So I just stopped asking and doing it. And I bring that up to say there are things that annoy you about me. And you just stopped mentioning it and you started.
There's another universal language around the world that all men know, okay?
What is that?
And that's the bathroom, all right? So ladies are terrible at keeping the bathroom clean. I don't understand. Let's start here, fellas. Y'all already
We have
know
a
that.
lot of bobby
Yep.
pins and hair products and perfumes and lotions. We need more space is what we're saying. Get us a larger bathroom.
Okay, let's transition, still in the bathroom. I, as a grown man, only use 4 rolls of toilet paper a month. A month. When I was a single man living in an apartment, all I needed was 4 rolls for the whole month.
That's a lot.
You use 4 rolls in a day.
That's not true.
Men, I have gone to the store. Y'all know this. I have never spent so much money on toilet paper. I need to invest in Charmin, Quilted Northern, and Scott's Tissue. Fellas all around the world, we need to go invest in toilet paper and Kleenex because I don't understand where did all the toilet paper go?
Well, as women.
And then you don't buy none. And then get mad that as the man, you didn't go buy any toilet paper. I don't need all of this toilet paper. You need all of this toilet paper.
Well, here's the thing. When you married we need extra toilet paper.
That's how we take out the trash then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We both have had to learn and adjust our expectations and make different pivots in our roles.
Right. I just accept the fact that I just have to buy toilet paper, even though I only need 2 or 3 rolls a month.
And I think while we're making light of the situation with so many marriages ending in divorce due to different
Little things like that, though.
Yeah, well, I think the money blueprint, that's something different. Like you do have to have really clear negotiables and non-negotiables, right? Like let's say we were making money, but you had a huge gambling problem, or I had a huge gambling problem. That would be a non-negotiable. Like you can't squander away our wealth, you know what I mean? But your non-negotiable may be different. So I
gotta
think
stick by my side. You said for better or for worse, sickness and in health. Am I right, fellas? So
No.
my TD stayed with Uncle Joe, even though he almost gambled the house away. So what TD used to do was take on my Uncle Joe check and put it in his coat pocket.
Bless her heart.
He never found his money because she would put it in his coat pocket. She understood the assignment. They kept the house.
Bless her heart, Auntie Titi. But in this here day and age, we as healed couples, we as couples who understand the effects of PTSD and the traumatic experiences that Black families have had in this country, we communicate. We go to premarital counseling to make sure that, hey, some of these things we should discuss before we get married. And I think a lot of couples are planning for the wedding and not the marriage.
You're right.
Marriage is a serious business. There is something called the business of marriage. I mean, when we get into, looks, love, or legacy, yeah, I want to be, I may like how you look. Let me say that. What I'm initially attracted to is your physical appearance. Okay, does he or she check the bill? Check, check, check. The second thing is love, right? Do they treat you right? Are they affectionate, compassionate, whatever you define love, or the acts of service, check, check, check. But ultimately, that relationship needs to find its way to legacy. Can I build a legacy with this person? What type of legacy will we leave behind? That is what has sustained our marriage. So there are situations where some couples have to get a divorce because maybe they went for looks and found out there was no love, which ultimately led to no legacy. Or maybe there was looks and love, but that person had no ambition, didn't want to leave behind an inheritance. So the topic of personal finance being why so many couples are getting divorced today, it's serious.
You know, I was reading something now that you brought that up, where in the beginning, most people, when they're dating, right, they have all the fun and everything, and then when they get married, we've seen so many cliche situations where it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
Right? There's no more fun in it anymore.
Yeah.
And the post or the article that I was reading was talking about why not in the beginning, instead of trying to have all of this fun, have the tough conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Like can you imagine on our first date and it's like, what's your credit score? Are you trying to get married tomorrow? Do you want to have any more kids? Do you want to live in Chicago for the rest of your life? I don't want to live in Chicago the rest of my life. I'm not from here. I want to move back to the South.
But actually, babe, we did have those conversations early on.
No, I'm talking about in general. A lot of people,
other people, they
don't do that.
But maybe that's one of the reasons why we have been able to sustain. And I want to say it's because you and I had done it wrong so many times before. Like, I don't want people thinking like, oh my God, we've just always done it right.
Well, yeah,
we both dated people not asking those questions, and we learned the lessons.
The hard way.
When we met each other, we were like, look, this is where I am in life. This is where I want to be long term. You know, this is where I work. I get paid. Like, we were super transparent. I have a child. My child spends the summers with me. They spend, holidays. Can you cook? Can you clean? Like, whatever was important to you and I, we did the fluff stuff when we fell in love, but I think a lot of people should prioritize legacy first. We treat legacy as the dessert. I think legacy is the appetizer. Legacy is what you should be attracted to. I can build love on legacy. I learned how to love you, but we had the same long-term goals. I did not love you at first.
Awesome. You heard it first.
Yeah.
America.
He didn't love me either at first.
You know what I'm saying?
He just thought, you remember them blue pants. That's all you remember.
Anyway,
Okay.
So I forgot what I was going to say. Now, you didn't threw me out talking about you don't love me.
You do love me.
What Holly Berry said?
Love should have brought you home last night.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for it to load. Well, anyway, right here. So since you didn't love me, or whatever in the beginning, let me teach you what love is, okay? Love is patient.
Is it?
All right?
Ooh.
And kind. Love does not envy or boast.
Hallelujah.
It is not arrogant or rude. Rude, big one. It does not insist on its own way.
Ooh.
Fellas, all right? It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing. So fellas and ladies, we can't be petty in our relationships. That's what it's talking about. But rejoices with the truth.
The truth is you should take the trash out.
And the truth is I should not have to spend $1,000 a month on toilet paper.
Well, we made it. We found our way. Two imperfect people striving together for a perfect love.
That's right.
So, yeah.
All right. So legacy, let's talk about legacy, and let's talk about the plan. So when I sat down, me and Jasmine was sitting down, we was talking about what we wanted for our life. Obviously, wealth was one of them, where we wanted to raise our children, how we wanted to raise our children. One of the most important, the most important thing in any relationship is what is your foundation in your walk with Christ, right? What is your personal beliefs? And I've seen so many people try to make relationships work because they have a lot of things checked out. Oh, I want to be rich. I want to live here. And they all agree in all of these different areas. But when it comes into the morals and the values and the principles, there can be some off-putting because, well, maybe one person believes this way and another person believes that way, right? And that's not going to work in the long haul. So you got to be very clear on what your foundation is. And from the get-go, me and Jasmine's foundation was always built on Christ. And we knew that we could continue to build upon that, because even if we, was off-put or we didn't disagree about something and something fell off the foundation was still there, and we could just continue to build again back on top of that. And if you think about it, if you build a very strong foundation, you can tear the house down and rebuild it again, right? But that foundation has to be there. And so that's very important in building a relationship in marriage.
Yeah, I think the foundation is what gives way to the legacy. Something that you and I would be super intentional about is whenever there was a disagreement in our relationship, is we would find a scripture to help guide us through. And that's something that I encourage you, if you're married, if you are contemplating divorce, if you want to get married, get into the habit, the practice today of identifying a scripture that can get you through those feelings, help you navigate that obstacle, help you process those emotions, and just go back to what does the Word of God say about this specific thing. And something I learned, that God didn't spend a lot of time talking about petty things, trash, toilet paper. He didn't spend time talking about that. Those are minuscule things. Yeah. And we have way too many couples divorcing today because of minor things. They're majoring in the minors. Your marriage is a big deal to God. It's a big deal. And remember, the enemy came to steal it, to destroy it, to attack it. And so if you believe your union is called by God, I urge you to have the tough conversations, reassess your money blueprint. We recommend the book, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, because ultimately there's purpose in your union. And that purpose is to leave a legacy behind that continues to grow the kingdom of God. Whether that legacy is you and your spouse developing children who contribute in a certain way. It could be building a business that uplifts people, serving your community, entering into politics. That legacy can look like whatever you want it to look like. But ultimately, if you're not aligned in that foundation and unified there, you'll never reach the legacy. So looks, love, or legacy, what do you choose?
Legacy. And remember this, guys, keep people out your business. Let me say it again. Keep your friends out your business. I think one great piece of advice one of our mentors gave to us is when he asked his wife-to-be, if we got an argument, who would you call, right? And he said when he was talking to one of his girlfriends, she gave 3 names, and they were all single. And what are single women going to tell a girlfriend? Girl,
let's go out, have a drink, forget about it.
And when he met finally his wife-to-be, and she gave the names, it was married people, and as well as those individuals who are going to protect the union, right? Going to protect the marriage. Those are going to be in your corner to make sure that you just don't walk away, right? Because single friends, a lot of times just be like, oh, it's easy, come on, just walk away. And it's not easy. It's not just about walking away, right? You want people who understand marriage, protect it, understand that everything is not going to be perfect, but they got your back. And it's only a handful of people, only a handful. And the second thing that I'll tell you is having humility and not trying to be right all the time. I know I was a person early on in our marriage that was always trying to be right and prove a point. And Jasmine's had her times too as well, trying to prove a point and wanted to be right. But when you're right, you can display arrogance, and it's not a place of wisdom, right? Wisdom wants the relationship to work. Even though you may have been right, you don't have to be an a-hole about it because ultimately your spouse or significant other was wrong. Let's learn from it, because you don't want to be right and lonely, right? I'd rather be vulnerable, humble, and together long term.
Yeah, so ultimately, there are times where you can be wrong but be together, then be right and be alone. And so I think that that's a lesson that you and I have learned. You know, we've shared it before on this show. If it won't matter in the next 5 years, then don't let it matter over the next 5 minutes. Yeah. So legacy for me too, that's my vote. Looks, love, or legacy. I'm going with legacy all day.
All day, every day. And your booty.
Lord Jesus.